Okay guys, my swing evolution. Let's take a look at my recent swings here. All right, had a pretty good game the other day, won some skins, hitting the ball pretty darn straight with the driver. So let's look at this first swing, which is down the line. You'll see that I'm holding the club a little farther away from me, a little more Mo Normany. Gives me a little bit more space for my arms and the club to get through the shot. I feel like I can just drop it back down onto where I aimed it. And I think this is just helping me hit the ball a little bit straighter. This is a pretty one plane swing. You'll see me take it right up the shaft plane. And I lift my left heel, which is going to allow me to make a good weight transfer. Now, this left heel, I'm going to talk about what's called an open kinetic chain as opposed to a closed kinetic chain. The whole modern swing evolution of the last 30 years, people keep their left heel on the ground. That is a closed kinetic chain. But when we allow our feet to move, that's an open kinetic chain on the backswing. People's feet are going to move on the downswing for sure. But as I plant that left heel, it's going to force me to make a weight shift. It's just the simplest thing in the world. A lot of modern teachers don't teach much of a weight shift. They teach more of a rotation. I disagree with that. It's not the way I like to swing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it doesn't work for me. I tried it for a very, very long time and was very unsuccessful. But this is working for me. So if you pick that left heel up, it forces you to get into your right side. And then when you put that left heel down and you keep your head in the same spot, it will help you to transfer your weight. So as I transfer my weight and I bring the club down, you will see me find that familiar Shangri-La position, that pre-release position right before I hit the ball. And here I feel pretty good. Head's pretty steady. My hips are clearing nicely. Like this is, for me, this is just a good impact position. It's effortless. I just, it just felt so good, and I blast the ball right down my intended target line, right in the middle of the fairway towards the green. So that was a nice little simple and smooth swing. Got the job done. Now here's the plane line. We can watch me essentially move the club up that plane line. I come off of it at the top a little bit. I'm not trying to do a exact single plane swing, but this just goes to show you that I'm pretty close to it. And then I bring that club right back down on that shaft plane. And we'll see that club meet it right about here, just slightly above it. It's just a pretty freewheeling release. I let my right hand go right over my left. I'm not trying to steer it. That's the one thing I'll tell you is when I start trying to steer the ball, that's when all heck breaks loose. There's an old saying, you have to give up control to gain control. So let's take a look at this swing from the front. I really like my setup here. Let's take a look at this. Now this is I've got the ball. It looks like it's a little bit inside my heel, but I tried to measure my ball right off of my left heel with a driver. I've got my stance a little bit wider than normal. And one of the things that I like about this wider stance is this left leg angle. I'm really maintaining this left hip, or right hip, shall I say, forgive me. But you see how I'm not sliding off the ball, but I'm getting a good hinge turn. I want those hips to open. I want my left knee to move in towards my right knee. The classic K with the legs, as we say. So I take the club up to the top. Now I get really loaded into my right glute here. And this is where the power in the lower body comes from. This is similar to me. It reminds me a little bit of Jack. You know how he really sits down into that leg, and you see the thigh flex, got some weight in those quads and in the glutes. And the glutes are going to help you externally rotate your hips. So as that weight shift happens, you see that left heel come up. As I reach the top and make my transition, that weight is going to just plant right in that left heel. And then you see that left knee move. See that? Yeah, that foot goes down and that left knee makes an aggressive move towards the target. We get a little bit of a sneed squat in here where those knees are separated. Folks, it's all about the lower body. I mean, for me, you know, talking about this open kinetic chain, it's like you can't start working on the hands and the arms and the club position until you've got this lower body worked out. So here we got a nice move, lateral move through the ball. And one of the things that I believe about the lateral move, this is a really beautiful position here. See, my club head is basically making a screaming, it's a flat spot going right towards that golf ball. We don't see a lot of arc on the club coming in. So I've got a pretty good flat spot here. And I just rip it right down the fairway. Very nice. So here I have my A-frame that I talk about with Mr. Hogan. We're going to see some similarities here, definitely. So I'm going to swing inside this A. My hips are not going to sway outside of it. We see my knees working along the crossbar of the A. I'm definitely loaded in my right side, and then I have a slight counterfall move back to the left. It's not very much, just a little bit. My head is staying really centered on top of this letter A, which I think is good. And then as the club releases and those legs drive through the ball, you see those wrinkles in the pant legs that is similar to what Mr. Hogan had. And here I just blast with that right hand all the way through the shot. I'm really trying to stay down through this shot, but what I'll do is I'll compare myself to Mr. Hogan here, and I'll tell you, nobody can compare to Mr. Hogan, but I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. So we'll take this club up basically to the transition. You see me really loaded into my right hip with a bent right knee, and Ben Hogan said that he wanted to keep flexing his right knee, but according to the computer models, he actually did straighten his right leg a bit. And his counterfall move is a little bit more pronounced with a little more angle. He's got steeper shoulders than I have. A lot of people talk about Mr. Hogan as having a flat swing. It wasn't as flat as you may think. But this is the real move here that I think that I want to talk about, is this move from being inside the A. If you see the knees and the rotation of the lower body move towards the target, Mr. Hogan makes an even bigger lateral move than I do, which is why he was so great. I wish I could get more lateral and more behind the ball as he is here. But you can see that, you know, we both blast it right down the line. Again, his head is farther. He's like keeping it more back and getting under more. So, but I'm hitting the ball fine. I ain't hating it, you know. So these are some pretty decent swings. Let's take a look at them one more time. So the MSC Intensive is set for 7/7, July 7th at the Claw in Tampa Bay. Got a lot of interest in the new intensive, so if you are curious, I got a couple spots left. It's going to be a great event. You can email me at myswingevolution@yahoo.com. Hit them long and hit them straight.